This year, treat your Valentine to these high fiber, high energy, well balanced Valentine's Day muffins. Paper liners sure make these easier to take with you. So that's one of the reasons I enjoy using them. And then what we're going to do is reset your scale after every time you use this. Makes it easier to keep track of what you have left or how much you need. And as you can see, this goes by pretty quick, especially as thick as this stuff is. But these high fiber cupcakes or muffins will certainly tie you over in the morning real nice. I made some just last week and I had to make it again, share with everybody. Oops. Almost done. Oops. And last one. Perfect. All right, what we're going to do is going to put these in the oven for about 15, maybe 20 minutes. Take a look at them and we'll go from there. Time to put it in the oven. It barely fits, but it fits. As you can see, it took us 26 minutes and we are done, looking really good. The white chocolate is melting nicely. Alright, and there we have it. Nice and hot and fresh right out of the toaster oven. And all we have to do is let these cool off and then we will go ahead and frost them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this out of the muffin pan so that the hot heat from the muffin pan doesn't continue to cook our muffins. So with that said, let me get another mitt. All goes well, this should just kind of flop out. There we go. Grab them out. There we go. Everybody who wants to come up easily, let's go. Here we go. And there we go. So we're going to go ahead and let these cool off and go ahead and get our frosting made up so that once these cool, we can go ahead and decorate them. Alright, while our muffins are cooling, we're going to go ahead and get started on our frosting. And my basic frosting, I love a good sweet cream cheese frosting, kind of like the ones you get at Cinnabon, although nobody seems to know the recipe. Needless to say, we're going to make something similar to that. So we have our cream cheese, we have our milk, our powdered sugar, our vanilla, and a little lemon juice just to give it a little kick. So let's go and get started. So I'm going to add my powdered sugar now. Okay. And then we'll add a little bit more milk. Well, maybe a little bit more milk if we need it. Actually, that turned out really well. Now, depending on the consistency you want, you may want to go ahead and add a little bit more powdered sugar to this. Let's take a look. The flavor's right there. You know what? I think we're going to go and work with this because see how we can get this in the peak a little bit. There you go. See that? We can get it to peak a little bit. I don't want it to just melt away, but I don't want it to be so stiff that it's going to be hard to spread either. If that makes sense. So now we've got our frosting taken care of. We're going to be good to go for a while. Now we're going to go ahead and let our muffins completely cool. And what we'll do is we'll set aside some of this in order to get some red coloring in it. We definitely want some red food coloring for our writing because these are going to make nice little Valentine muffins. So we want to be able to write little messages or draw hearts on them. So we'll go ahead and stop for now. We'll let everything cool off and then we'll pick this up once our muffins are cool. Welcome back. Now that our muffins are cooled off, let's go ahead and decorate them. Because it's Valentine's Day, we're going to go ahead and do something pretty simple with our frosting. We'll go ahead and I'll make not quite half of it, but a good chunk of this. We'll make this pink or red so we can do something Valentine in decoration or Valentine in spirit with it. I've got my little container here of all my little frosting pieces. We've got my Betty Crockers gel in a tube. This, for what it's worth, because it's red and because it's already cut, it makes for a nice little something we could write with. So it saves us from having to use something else. But what I like to do, and I'll show you here in a second, we'll get out just 2 of these. Because we all know about those little bags they use for frosting and things like that. I make something like that myself, but something a little bit more disposable. And we'll find a decent tip. Maybe that one. All these little tips, they're by, was it Watson or whatever. It's cake decorating equipment that Walmart sells, and it's good stuff, believe it or not. It's actually pretty good. So I'm definitely not going to complain. And it's definitely served me well over the years. Alright. Alright, I think we can work with those. And yeah, we'll work with those 2 and that red pink. Okay, here we go. Alright, get some red out. The rest of this put away. And in order for me to make my frosting bags, I simply use just Ziploc bags. Simply because, well, they're easy, they're easy to work with. I already own them, and then I can just throw them away when I'm done. So let's go ahead and get started with these. Alright, so what we're going to do, just to try and make this as clean as possible, because we're going to do basically a pink bag or a red bag, depending on how dark we make our color, and because we're using our food coloring here. And then we'll have basically our white bag. So what I'll do is, first of all, what we'll do is we'll use a big tip for the white, and hang on, let's show you this. We got this big tip for the white, and then we have like a smaller tip we're going to go ahead and use for the red. And now what we're going to do, and because these are things you can go ahead and get at Walmart. They just screw in, and it works like a charm. You can see these are easy to clean. So what we're going to do is take one and put it in the corner. Put it in the very corner of the bag, just like that. See that? The very corner of the bag. And then squeeze the bag tight. And then what I'll do is I'll take scissors here, and basically I just want to cut the plastic out a little bit, so that this way we can go ahead and put this on top of that. See, this on top of that, and screw it in. Boom. See, now we have this perfectly usable little frosting bag that we can go ahead and toss the bag when we're done. Yes, the same company that sells all these tips at Walmart sells you disposable bags at a price. These I already own. So we'll go ahead and take our frosting and as we talked about earlier, if you want to make this thicker, that's fine. Either use a little less milk or add more powdered sugar to it, up to you. And then hold it like so. There we go. All right, that's okay. That should be enough for all of them. And then we'll do is again just Ziploc it tight. And then we'll work it like so, and then boom, you've got like so, boom, then you've got your frosting bag. Now with the red, clearly, since we're going to go ahead and mix the red inside the bag, we can't exactly put the assembly in there because it's not going to work very well. So what we'll do is we're going to double bag the red. We'll take the rest of our frosting, like so. There we go. So now you got the frosting in here. Then we'll go ahead and add the food coloring. We'll start out with about 4 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, maybe that's 5. And now we could go ahead and do this in a bowl, but in the spirit of trying to make things as easy as possible to clean up, we'll just work it this way. All right, here we go. There you go, look at that. That actually has kind of a cool little color to it. Now, if I want to make life a little easier for myself, we can go ahead and remove a bunch of that air. And as you can see, we're getting our frosting made up. Little to no mess, the way I like to work, or prefer to work. And actually, you know what? 4 drops seem to do it pretty well because I kind of like this shade. I'm not looking for a deep rosy red, but I think this pink pastel works for me. So now we've got still a lot of air in here. There we go. Perfect. So now you can see we're pretty much eliminated most all of our air. And again, the color turns out pretty well. Now we'll grab a second bag. And with the second bag, we'll go ahead and set it up like we did with the white. Unscrew that. You can just sometimes do that. Put your finger in there. Perfect. Again, run the scissors around it, but you don't want the hole to get too big because it needs to stay inside the threads in order for this assembly to stay on here. There you go. It's not going anywhere. Now, what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and put this bag inside of that, our frosting bag inside of our clear bag. But before we do that, we need to make certain the pink comes out of this bag. So, and I'm just going to step away from the camera, cut this over the garbage. All right, perfect. Now I got this huge whopping hole, which I'm going to make certain we align this pretty much with where this is at, where the opening is at. So this way, as we squeeze this bag out, that all the contents will come out into our little spot. Okay. Perfect. See that? We getting that? There you go. Works like a charm. Tastes good too. All right. So, because these have a lot of texture to them, unlike your standard cupcakes, you can just sit there and use a flat spatula, whip them into shape. These, not so much. So what we'll do is, let's try starting out with our white. We'll pick this, pick this one. Oops. Let's go ahead and get this fed up. There we go, good. All right, we'll kind of leave a little spot there for our red. One thing I like about cooking is you can always just lick your fingers. And then with the red, if we can see this, and then we'll just fill that in. Maybe try to move our tip over a little bit. There you go. A little makeshift heart, but considering the fact that this is not exactly flat, you're not going to complain too much. So let's get a little creative here. We'll try our heart first. There you go. Not too bad. Let's zoom in. Okay, so do another heart. Boom. Not too bad. Now, as far as the white, we could do a couple things with this. We could leave the outside clear and just fill the inside in. Boom. We could do something like that. Not too bad. Or let's go get a little bit more creative, and what we'll do is we'll do a white heart and we'll put red in the center. Oops, there you go. There you go, that's a cute little option, right? Now, these don't have to be perfect. And something I saw today on MSN, and I really support this, and this is something we seem to be missing out on, and that is just homemade Valentines. What happened to that? How come Valentines have to be so commercial? Why aren't they just homemade anymore? Oops. Because they always tell you love's not perfect, so why should the Valentine be perfect and commercial looking? That's kind of nonsense. There we go. Are we getting that? How's that? Probably a little easier. Don't like trying to do this backwards, eh? There you go. There you go. All right. Let's do one all in white. Now that looked pretty good. And, you know, let's do another one in white. That turned out pretty good. Hang on. Yeah. Okay, we'll do this one in white too. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and bury it in pink. And again, do remember that the muffins themselves are sugar-free. So shy of the white chocolate that has sugar in it, shy of the dry cranberry that has some sugar in it, and of course, you know, like the banana in it, there's really no added sugar. So any additional sweetness you're going to get out of these will come from your frosting. Let's see. While I don't have a Valentine this year, these do look cute. I do. There we go. There you go. Get that? Where are we at? There you go. See? Cute. And we'll just do a red heart on top of white on this one. There we go. And let's see, our last few. You know what? Let's do all pink with a white heart. There we go. Does that make sense? Oop. Not too bad. Then we just get a little crazy here. Here, let's move that over. Get a little crazy, get a little artsy, and do a heart sideways. See, you got that. Oop. You getting that? There you go. And then we'll work on this one. I'm running out of ideas. What can you really do between pink and white? Especially with these tips, that can't get too crazy. Oh yeah, we gotta use our gel. There we go. So, here, watch. We'll kind of just do a little zigzag in this. And on this one, we'll just do swirls. And again, keep in mind, even though these cupcakes, oops, my finger just hit that one. Even though these cupcakes are sugar-free, I'm certain the guilt from the frosting will help to ease that a bit. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and we'll use this. We talked about this a little earlier. See that? All right. So we'll do and we'll just do just a nice heart with this one. Oh. Okay, you know what? We're going to go ahead and use up the rest of this since I don't have much of this red left. And so we can go ahead and maybe outline this, our first one, if we have enough red for that. There you go. Oh, that looks really nice. That dolled it up nicely. And you know what? Let's go. This one we're just gonna emphasize the heart. And these little hearts could use a little fixing too. There you have it. We have some great high fiber Valentine muffins. As you saw, each one of these muffins are packed with 245 calories, 13 grams of fat, 5 grams of protein, and 7.5 grams of fiber. This, along with a cup of coffee, a couple scrambled eggs, makes for a very well balanced breakfast. Again, the calories on this are strictly based on the muffins themselves before we frosted them. As you saw, some had a lot of frosting, some had not so much frosting. So that's all before the frosting. That how much you frost it is really going to be up to you. But needless to say, these are sugar-free muffins. Well, before the white chocolate, before the dried cranberries, the banana, and the frosting, before all that, it's sugar-free. Why sugar-free? Simply because chances are this Valentine's Day, you're going to be eating a lot of sugar anyways. So we don't need to start the muffins off. We don't need to start the day off with more sugar than we're going to get the rest of the day. All right, so if you haven't already, please subscribe below. Feel free to leave a comment, questions, and make certain you go to myplatemylife.com, the website, for the recipe. And I'll see you next time on My Plate My Life. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. What's on your plate?